"Who do you think you are?" he laughed. Then generals stood and saluted. The barracks were alive with chatter, the low hum of soldiers sharing stories and testing each other's limits. In the midst of it all stood Lieutenant Marcus Kane, confident, cocky, the kind of soldier who believed the rules applied to everyone, except him. Across the room, a young recruit, barely a week into the unit, straightened his uniform. No fanfare. No boast. Just quiet, unassuming posture. Marcus Kane noticed immediately. A smirk spread across his face. "Who do you think you are?" he scoffed, stepping closer. His voice echoed through the hall. "You can't even carry your pack straight, and you're already standing there like you belong?" A few soldiers chuckled. Some muttered in agreement. The new recruit didn't respond. Didn't flinch. Didn't even blink. That was worse. Marcus, fueled by ego and amusement, decided to push further. He leaned in, voice dripping with derision. "Do you even know what you're walking into? This is the big leagues, kid." The recruit's eyes met his, calm, steady, unreadable. No fear. No hesitation. Just observation. The smirk faltered. Marcus laughed, dismissive. "Good. I like that spark. But you're in over your head. Everyone knows it. Everyone sees it." At that moment, the sound of boots echoed through the hall, firm, precise, commanding. Conversations died instantly. The atmosphere shifted. Marcus glanced toward the door. And there they were. 3 generals, tall and imposing, each in full uniform. Their presence demanded respect. Their gaze swept across the room, sharp and unyielding. The soldiers straightened instantly. And then, something happened Marcus had never expected. The general stood. Not in greeting to anyone else. Not in casual acknowledgement. They stood and saluted him. The room fell silent. Every soldier froze mid-breath. The air was thick with disbelief. Marcus blinked. Confusion. Humiliation, all at once. He had laughed at a recruit. He had mocked, dismissed, and underestimated. And in that moment he realized he was standing in a hall where experience, respect, and authority reigned supreme, and he had misread the situation entirely. The recruit didn't move, didn't react, just stood quietly, letting Marcus absorb the full weight of what had just occurred. The general's eyes met his. No words were necessary. Their salute was a statement. A test. A reminder. Marcus Kane's laughter died in his throat. This wasn't about disrespect. It was about recognition. And the question he had asked earlier, "Who do you think you are?" now echoed back at him. Because in this room, in this moment, the answer was not what he expected. The room was silent, but the tension was electric. Every soldier, even those who had laughed at Marcus Kane minutes earlier, felt the weight of the general's presence. Marcus stood frozen, the smirk long gone, replaced by disbelief and an unfamiliar anxiety. His eyes flicked toward the recruit, calm, composed, almost untouchable. That quiet confidence gnawed at him more than any reprimand could. One of the generals, a tall man with sharp eyes and silver hair, stepped forward. His boots echoed on the polished floor. Every step was deliberate, commanding attention. "Lieutenant Kane," he said, voice low but sharp enough to silence the room completely. "You think strength comes from words. You think authority comes from noise. But you are mistaken." Marcus swallowed hard. He wanted to speak, to explain. But no words came. The recruit finally moved. Not a gesture of defiance, just a small, precise step forward, eyes never leaving Marcus. The generals didn't move, but their eyes followed the recruit as if silently confirming what Marcus had yet to understand. "You laughed," the recruit said quietly, voice calm but piercing, "at someone you thought was beneath you. But in doing so, you revealed your own limits." The generals' heads remained high, their silence amplifying the truth in the recruit's words. Marcus's pulse quickened. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Pride, for once, felt heavy. Humiliation, unfamiliar but sharp, settled in his chest. The generals began pacing slowly, a deliberate rhythm that seemed to echo Marcus's heartbeat. "Authority," the silver-haired general continued, "is earned, not assumed. Respect is not commanded by laughter or intimidation. It is observed, recognized, and reciprocated. Marcus's eyes darted between the generals and the recruit. Each word cut deeper than any reprimand could. The recruit wasn't just quiet, they were confident, disciplined, and composed in a way Marcus had never seen. "You mocked," said another general, voice firm, "without understanding the weight of the person standing before you. That is a dangerous mistake." The room seemed to shrink. Every soldier in formation straightened instinctively. Marcus could feel the eyes on him, judging, waiting. "And yet," said the recruit calmly, "this is a moment for you, Lieutenant. To learn. To grow. To recognize that position means nothing without understanding, without discipline, and without respect." Marcus Kane felt the words hit him like a hammer. All the bravado, all the confidence he had relied upon, crumbled under the sheer presence of these leaders and the quiet authority of the recruit. The generals returned to their positions. They didn't smile. They didn't offer applause. They simply stood, statues of command and experience. And Marcus knew, in that instant, the lesson had only just begun. The room was silent again. But now, silence wasn't empty, it was full of expectation. Marcus Kane had a choice: continue as he always had, or begin to truly understand what leadership meant. The morning sun spilled into the training yard, casting long shadows over the rows of soldiers. Marcus Kane walked toward the obstacle course, but this time, his confidence felt hollow. The memory of the general's silent stare and the recruit's calm challenge weighed heavily on him. He had always believed authority came from bravado, from jokes and displays of dominance. Today, he understood how little that meant. "Lieutenant Kane," one of the generals called from the observation platform, "lead the squad through the course. Show us what you are made of." Marcus hesitated. Show what he was made of? He glanced at the recruit, standing among the soldiers, silent, observant. The same recruit he had mocked. The same recruit who had already humbled him. He swallowed, then nodded. "Formation. Forward march," he barked, his voice shaky but gaining strength. The squad moved in sync, eyes on him, awaiting his direction. The first obstacle, a high wall, loomed ahead. One soldier froze halfway up, struggling to find footing. Marcus had a choice: mock, push, or lead. "Use your hands, control your movements," he said, offering guidance instead of derision. "I've got you." The soldier climbed, aided by Marcus's steady hand. A small victory, but a monumental shift for him. The squad noticed. Whispers of respect began to ripple through the ranks. Next came the narrow balance beams. Marcus led slowly, deliberately. He corrected, encouraged, and adjusted his own steps to match the pace of the squad. His ego no longer dictated his actions. Leadership did. By the time they reached the mud pit, Marcus's body ached, but his mind was sharper than ever. He extended his hand to the last soldier crossing the pit. "Focus, one step at a time. You've got this." When the squad finally crossed, the general's eyes were locked on him. Not one word. Not one nod. Just the calm, assessing gaze of experience. And then, finally, the recruit stepped forward. Calm, composed, authoritative. She had said nothing during the drill, yet every action had reinforced the lesson Marcus had learned. Authority is measured by action, not arrogance. Marcus Kane stood tall, but differently now. He wasn't the cocky lieutenant who mocked the new recruit. He was a soldier learning what true leadership required: humility, control, and respect. The generals remained silent, but their presence alone was enough. Marcus understood. The challenge wasn't about showing dominance over others. It was about proving he could lead, even when no one expected him to. And as the squad lined up, panting, muddy, and disciplined, Marcus Kane knew the final test wasn't physical. It was personal. He had to rise above his own ego. The squad stood in formation, uniforms streaked with mud, chests rising and falling from the intensity of the drill. The obstacle course was complete. But the real evaluation had just begun. Marcus Kane held his position at the front of the formation. His breathing had steadied, but his mind replayed every moment: the laughter, the question, the humiliation, and the choice he made today. The generals descended slowly from the observation platform. Each step felt deliberate, measured, final. The entire yard snapped to attention as they approached. Marcus's heart pounded, not with fear this time, but with awareness. The silver-haired general stopped directly in front of him. "Lieutenant Kane," he said evenly, "what did you learn?" The question hung in the air. Marcus didn't rush his answer. He didn't posture. He didn't perform. "Sir," he began, voice steady, "I learned that rank doesn't define authority. Character does. And leadership begins with respect." Silence. The wind brushed lightly across the yard. The general studied him carefully, searching for arrogance, for performance. He found none. Instead, he nodded once. The recruit stepped forward again, calm as ever. But now, something was different. There was acknowledgement in her eyes. Not superiority. Recognition. The second general turned toward the formation. "Let this be clear," he said firmly. "The measure of a soldier is not how loudly he speaks, but how well he listens." Marcus stood still, absorbing every word. Then something unexpected happened. The silver-haired general took one step back. And slowly, he raised his hand in salute. Not a dramatic gesture. Not ceremonial. Precise. Intentional. The other generals followed. The entire yard froze. This time, there was no confusion. No shock. Only understanding. The salute was not for rank. It was not for perfection. It was for growth. Marcus's eyes widened slightly, not in disbelief, but in realization. He returned the salute sharply. Around them, the rest of the unit watched in silence. They had seen the transformation. They had witnessed the fall of ego and the rise of discipline. The recruit stepped beside Marcus. Quietly she spoke, just loud enough for him to hear. "Now you know who you are." It wasn't a challenge anymore. It was a statement. The generals lowered their hands. Dismissed, came the final command. The formation broke. But something had changed in that yard. Marcus Kane no longer needed laughter to feel strong. He no longer needed to question someone else's worth to define his own. Because true authority doesn't shout. It stands firm. And when it earns respect, even generals rise to salute.